Phil Urich, an unpopular and unstable reporter, has been looking into Oscorp. Norman Osborn has suddenly reappeared after a 6-month disappearance, and Urich thinks something is up. Determined to prove himself at any cost, he breaks into Oscorp, finding dangerous experiments turning regular people into monsters. He tries to escape, but soon he is caught, and himself turned into a creature. Dum diddy dum diddy dum diddy dum diddy Peter Parker and Harry Osborn have been investigating the reappearance of Harry's father, Norman. Norman claims that he's simply been sick, but Harry knows that he's been gone, somewhere. And there have been reports of a strange creature attacking government facilities on a jet-powered glider. Harry learned Peter's identity as Spider-Man long ago, and the now college-age duo feel there's nothing they can't conquer together, including this mystery villain. While no regular people have been able to get a good look, Spidey has gotten close. Spider-Man goes on patrol through the New York City night, wearing a new suit designed by his girlfriend, Gwen Stacy. Gwen and Peter are both very concerned about Harry and his father, and are trying to do everything they can to help. Gwen through her police officer father, and Peter through being Spidey. While on patrol, Spider-Man is forced to fight Screwball for the millionth time, who is trying to set up an Among Us with a Real Murderer livestream on the New York rooftops. Spider-Man defeats her, of course, but is ambushed by a goblin on a glider. Hobgoblin. Hobgoblin seems more focused on introducing himself as an incredible threat than on actually beating Spidey. And as such, when Hobby is beaten and has to retreat, Spidey is confused, until he notices an Oscorp stamp on the back of his glider. Is this the villain they've been looking for? The next day, Peter, Harry, and Gwen go to Oscorp to investigate, but are interrupted by an attack from Spot, a bank robber, and then Hydro Man, a noted brawler, and then the Lizard, Swarm, Dr. Octopus, and finally Hobgoblin. Hobby claims that each of them was somehow snubbed by Osborn, and that it's finally time to face the music, with powers created and shared by noted biochemist Dr. Otto Octavius. Spider-Man fights hard. He has had to fight single enemies or duos before, but never 6 people like this. Each has their own specialty. Spot can create portals to move around the battlefield. Swarm can send out massive swarms of bees. Lizard has incredible strength and razor-sharp claws. Hydro Man floods the street and shoots jet bursts of water. Doc Ock's arms swing around fiercely, and Hobgoblin can come in close and brawl Spidey fist to fist. Meanwhile, Harry and Gwen take advantage of the chaos to look deeper at the experiments, especially now that the ground floor of the building is just rubble, exposing the entrance to Osborn's underground lab. Harry notes that one of the experiments is based around the same spiders that bit Peter, and one bites him. Gwen learns that the Sinister Six were actually created by Oscorp to test gamma-radiated soldiers, thanks to the research of Osborn, Kurt Connors, and Bruce Banner. Some of the 6 were volunteers to be turned, while others were forcibly turned. The most recent, Phil Urich, the Hobgoblin. However, the files are quickly being erased. Spidey is savagely beaten before noticing something. The 6 monsters don't know how to work as a team. Hobby is more or less shouting nonsense orders and is not paying attention to the welfare of the others at all. By taking advantage of Spot's portals, Spider-Man is able to tackle each member one by one, until finally defeating the Sinister Six. Norman Osborn visits the lab to make sure that the file eraser is going smoothly, and is surprised to find Harry and Gwen. Thinking on her feet, Gwen claims that she, Harry, and Peter were on their way to visit when the floor caved and trapped them underneath, and that Peter ran to get the fire department for help. Norman helps them back to the entrance, but not before Gwen steals a few stray blueprints relating to giant helicarriers and army machines, all under the label of something called S.H.I.E.L.D. Peter quickly goes to check on Gwen and Harry, and the trio speak with Norman, who is glad to see they are all right. The 6 are carted away by the police to the raft, while Norman promises to begin work on a gamma cure for the creatures. Peter and his friends, however, now know the truth. Norman Osborn is helping to create an army. But for what? and how can they stop it? What you just watched is actually the first full story really completed for this world. I gotta give huge credit to Pilakar for helping in writing this particular story. He even wrote a short prequel story all about Project Hallows and how Phil Urich became Hobgoblin, which will be linked below. For even more recognition, Lizard was actually designed by Discord member TrueScore for a contest last year, and we liked him so much that Kurt Connors became one of Osborn and Banner's colleagues in this whole Gamma fiasco. And of course, thanks to Jinx for once again designing the logo and a brand new poster for the story. For the Sinister Six itself, some of the members might seem like odd additions, but part of my desire was to have 3 well-known villains matched with 3 lesser-knowns, because I love obscure characters. Lizard, Ock, and Hobby are there for the star power, and Spot, Swarm, and Hydra Man to fill out the ranks. They also help to represent 3 of the core styles of Spider-Man villains: Tech, Animal, and Elemental. And finally, for Spidey himself, you might remember a design I drew for the channel last year. Well, I figured for a brand new story all about him, he deserves some new duds. And I like the idea that Gwen designed it herself. There's quite a few places this story can twist and turn, and rest assured, true believer, we have it planned to a science. These are the first steps into a larger world, and the Marvel Nth-Verse isn't going anywhere. Just remember that spider bite that Harry got. The next story, in fact, won't be for a while, but it will be all about the X-Men. Here's another very snazzy logo designed by Nico Lego Yes. In fact, the hint toward the villain is in this video's very title, which is kind of a coincidence. And so, Excelsior, mighty Marvelites. Until next time, later. Norman is cautiously optimistic. His first subjects performed well in the field, almost proving the end for Spider-Man. Dr. Octopus escaped to help him create more weapons, and now, thanks to Hobgoblin taking credit for the team and becoming a scapegoat, nothing can really be pinned on him. Project Hallows is a success.